Welcome everyone to our webinar, What's New in the Zurich Release for Technology Providers. Mike, if you want to go ahead and go to the first slide. We will probably talk about some roadmap items during our presentation today. So please keep in mind that if we do, those are forward-looking and they may change. Mike? Couple of housekeeping things before we jump in. Please use the Q&A button. It actually helps us make sure we've answered all the questions along the way, and we can answer them privately or as a group, and we get a report of those afterwards. If there are any we didn't answer, we can see that. It's a lot easier to manage than the chat. So please use that Q&A button to ask your questions. We are recording the presentation, so it will be available after the event. I'm not sure if this is on one of the future slides, but we will share the slides as well for the presentation, and have links to videos and other resources that we will talk about along the way. And you will be prompted to fill out a survey at the end of the presentation. Please take time to fill that out. It actually helps us for future webinars to make sure we are continuously improving as we go forward. Next slide. All right. So you've got two presenters today. I'm Philip Godwin, one of the outbound product directors in our technology industry vertical. I've been with ServiceNow a little over 5 years now. I came to ServiceNow to focus on the managed service provider industry. That's my primary background. And as we spent more and more time talking to our managed service provider customers, our technology industry customers, and finding their requirements, we developed our technology provider service management product to start addressing those unique requirements. And I moved over into the product organization at that time. So that's my role. I'm joined today by my colleague, Mike. Mike, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey, Phil. Hey, everybody. Thanks for giving us the time, joining with us today. It really means a lot. A lot of effort goes into putting this content together, and we're excited to share it with you today. I've been an outbound product manager here for a little over a year. I've been in the ecosystem as an implementer in our partner ecosystem for about a decade. So long-term ServiceNow viewer, first-time caller, so to speak. So we're excited to jump in here and show you the things that are coming out in TMT technology specifically.
Rudy, I see your message about the echo and received audio. I don't know if anybody else is hearing that. I'm not sure what to do about that at this point. Hopefully it will improve. There is going to be a link, share it in the chat. You've got a QR code here for future live on ServiceNow events. This is a series. Most of our business units do these, so there's a lot of available content out there for live on ServiceNow. Keep going, Mike. Okay, our agenda today is to go through our new content for technology provider service management that was released in our Zurich store release. And it actually has been a while. It was released at the very end of July. So it's been out there for a while. Hopefully some of you have experienced it. For those who have not, you'll get a good preview today, and hopefully it will encourage you to go out and take a look. We're going to cover first our customer success product and that content. Mike's going to cover that. We'll go through in each of the areas. We'll go through the content, and then we'll along the way you'll see some demos. And Please, again, you can ask your questions in Q&A. We'll try to make time towards the end to answer those. After Mike gets done, I will talk about Service Bridge and the test diagnostic framework that we're adding to our product support features. So with that, I think oh, actually, we have another intro slide. So um, this is the content we're going to cover in each. In the customer success space, Mike's going to talk about support renewals, expansion, the agentic AI capabilities we have there, another agentic AI feature, the trigger risk mitigation touch point. Um, One of the much anticipated features in our customer success, being able to show product usage and product adoption in the customer success product, so you know how your customers are using your products and services. In Service Bridge, I'll talk about Foundation Data Sync, another very much anticipated feature that our customers have been requesting for a while. We'll talk about Service Bridge Health and then Test Diagnostic Framework. So now I think, Mike, over to you.
Appreciate it. So first and foremost, for those of you who are familiar with our account lifecycle events application or been following along, uh, in Zurich, we've rebranded it. Account lifecycle events is gone. We've swept in another CSM acronym, customer success management. So customer success management is derived of really two main components: customer onboarding. It's through this onboarding process that you add new accounts, net new business. You would use that onboarding process to expand or add products and services, onboard additional foundational data, even offboard. It's a playbook guided experience that drives agents through a consistent process, really enabling you to deliver that consistency to your customers, reduce that time to value, increase ROI, things like that. The other component that we'll dig into today is the customer success piece. It's here where we're going to manage the relationships that represent the products that you've sold into the customers, where the engagement is really the umbrella for all of the parts and pieces, whether it's support cases or health, which is derived from metrics, whether it's internal or external to the platform, or product usage similarly can be derived from data internal or external to the platform, risks, meetings, so on and so forth. So call that out first. Customer success management is now the name for account lifecycle events, and that is new in the Zurich release. So first, we'll dig into just a few slides here and there. I do have some demo videos for some of our agentic use cases. I do demo videos in these presentations because, you know, those of you who are familiar with AI, you give it a prompt, it's got to analyze it, bring it back. There's just a lot of dead space there. So we do the videos. You know, demo data in an instance, so it's product, so it's real and live. It's just, you know, for the sake of time, we make the recording and trim it down. So this first slide here is just a screenshot, and we'll visit this at the end too. We'll jump into the instance, and I'll show you this live in the instance. But this is our product adoption dashboard, and it's on this slide that you can see the donut on the left gives a count of products that have been sold. Calculations, it's all configuration. And depending on how you capture that data, whether it's clicks or screen time or transactions, that all correlates back into understanding how customers are using your products, and then goes into, as you can see down the right column there, we have an agent that helps us churn all that information out. So there's a support renewals and expansion agent that's going to look at the health of an engagement. It'll look at the value, which is derived from executing plays, right? and then usage, of course. So each product that's sold gets a usage score, again, derived from the metrics that you configure, and then you get a value there. So all three of those work in concert to output the likelihood of an engagement or a contract specifically to renew. The next agent we'll cover, and this one I do have a demo video for, is our trigger risk mitigation touch point. It's great. It's an automated thing, right? So in the world of customer success management, sometimes we have to be reactive, even though we're always transitioning to that proactive state, right? That's nirvana. So in the event that a risk record, which can be created using the risk framework and derived from conditions for other data in the platform. So if your case count gets too high or CSAT gets too low, that can trigger the automatic creation of a risk, which is templatized. When that risk is created, if there is a value of either high or already occurred in the probability column for that risk record, this particular agent springs to action. You'll see the notification pop up in the Now Assist panel. That'll drop down, and I go into this in more details in the video, so I won't elaborate too far. But this is just an amazing tool that really helps surface and bring things to attention immediately, likely before your customers know that it's happened. So that's where we get that proactive aspect of it. So let's jump in and we'll take a look at the video here.
The Touchpoint Meeting Scheduler in ServiceNow's Customer Success Management, part of the Zurich release, empowers busy CSMs with agentic AI to streamline meeting management and tactically address risks. Automating meeting creation and scheduling reduces workload and keeps CSMs informed and proactive across engagements. In the workspace, the Touchpoint Meeting Scheduler AI agent workflow uses two agents, the Touchpoint Meeting Editor and the Touchpoint Meeting Booking Specialist. The Touchpoint Meeting Editor generates draft meetings for touchpoints, completing mandatory fields and adding context to the meeting. The Touchpoint Meeting Booking Specialist prompts for meeting times, suggests invites based on the risk or engagement context, and integrates with virtual meeting software like Zoom to add meeting URLs. When a risk with a high probability or occurrence is detected, such as a decline in usage, the AI automatically prompts CSMs to create a meeting populated with essential details like date and agenda, enabling rapid response while saving CSMs time. CSMs can send invites directly from the Now Assist panel, streamlining communication and ensuring the right stakeholders are involved. This automation reduces administrative tasks, allowing CSMs to focus on high-value customer interactions while addressing critical risks efficiently. The Touchpoint Meeting Scheduler is simple and effective, leveraging ServiceNow's powerful workflow and automation capabilities to save CSMs valuable time. See it and other great capabilities in the Zurich release.
Great. So here at the end, you see this is the touch point that's created. It goes back and it adds all the pertinent details. The selection of invitees or attendees are directly related to the account that the engagement is related to. Specifically, it's related to the engagement. And it presents all that there in the Now Assist panel with just a few clicks and a couple of very simple prompts. The system was able to identify that something happened that we really should get in front of. Communication out. We partner with, there's some Zoom please built into the system to go and procure that meeting link. At the end, you can, of course, build it out using one of our Iteration Hub spokes to go get the transcription, the sentiment analysis word, and the URL for the recording, and bring that all home and store that in the engagement, or in the touch point rather, as well. So in this video, we'll take a look. This is our monitor engagement health AI capability. Similarly, this on a regular cadence, out of box, it's set to execute on Monday mornings. that flow is turned on to gate to the flow and enable it. What it's going to allow us to do, and I won't go into too much detail because I will here in the video. There's a system property that will allow us to look at the derived health score overall, or the individual metrics, the little parts and pieces that go into the weighting and the formula to calculate that score. So it's really nice to be able to have that scalability. It also gives agents the ability to select specific engagements, up to 10 for now, due to some data things with the AI and how that all works. But we're always looking, of course, to expand this. That's one of those safe harbor statements, of course. So without further ado, let's look at our monitor engagement health agent. Oh, I guess I got the same one in here. Let's do this. There we go.
The Monitor Engagement Health AI agent allows customer success managers to select key engagements for analysis. Set to run on a weekly cadence, this capability can review changes in the health score overall, or through toggling a system property, review changes in the individual metrics used to calculate a health score of an engagement. After the analysis is complete, customer success managers are notified in the Now Assist panel of any trends that have been identified and any actions taken as a result. The agent iterates through the selected engagements, looking at historic values of the health score or individual metrics for potentially negative trends. If a trend is identified, a new risk record is created and associated to the engagement. If a trend is identified as existing and a risk already exists in an unaddressed state, a risk occurrence record is created and associated with the existing risk. The summary sent to the customer success manager includes details about the trends that have been identified and any new data created in the instance as a result. Additionally, the AI agent can be manually triggered from the Now Assist panel.
So in that particular demonstration, I did manually trigger that. When it runs on its normal cadence and that success manager comes in, there's just a little blue icon. You've all seen them on your phones that says, hey, there's a notification here in this Now Assist panel. And then what they're presented with is the summary and then the options based on the analysis of the engagements and the trends that were identified there. This works in concert with our recommend risk mitigation solutions agent, which we'll see here in just a second. Essentially, the monitor engagement health goes and it identifies that dip, that trend, and then that risk agent comes along behind and says, all right, now I have the details. I have this risk record that's created. It's going to take the context of that and it's going to bump it up against the configured plays that you have in your instance. And it's going to come back and it's going to present you with a few options if it feels there are more than one possible solution, or if it's pretty confident that this is the way forward, it'll say, let's go ahead and start that. Of course, there's user interaction to accept that as the path forward. And then that agent, as you'll see here in the video in just a moment, is going to ask for the inputs that are required to go ahead and start that process. So whether it's a date or a product or a user, however that particular that back end subflow is configured, the agent will prompt the user to go ahead and grab that information for them. So let me grab that video and we'll take a look. Whoop.
The Analyze Risk and Recommend Solutions AI agent makes it easy for customer success managers to get their risks moving toward resolution effortlessly. Readily accessible in the Now Assist panel of the configurable workspace, this agent will analyze any unaddressed risks assigned to the logged in user, work to understand the context through key attributes, and then assess the available success plays configured in the instance, ultimately suggesting a solution based on the available options. Qualifications can be added to the prompt, such as analyze priority 1 risks or analyze risks for Boxio, making it easy for success managers to target specific risks. Once a potential solution is identified and suggested to the success manager, the AI agent will ask the success manager to provide any values for configured inputs required to start the play. Once those values are provided, the risk solution is created and associated with the risk, and the play is executed. Risks that are created by the Analyze Risk and Recommend Solutions AI agent will have a creation method of AI generated. The short description and description will be populated with key details as well as other attributes of the risk record.
So before we jump to this slide, I just want to, at the end, that risk solution record, I just want to call that out. In a world where, we all kind of build off of ITIL foundations and we're looking to continuously improve our processes and identify gaps, those risk solution records are the actions that you have taken to mitigate that risk. In the example you saw, I think it was a get to green play, but you could have an incident, a case, a change request. Any sort of record can be related back to that risk as the solution. What that does for you is that allows organizations to go back and analyze those risks, find those similarities, identify the steps that we took to correct the risk, and potentially plug gaps or evolve processes to mitigate them downstream. So we're always evolving. The AI is helping, the risks are helping to capture that data, to make it available, to make good data-driven decisions, to increase the experience downstream. The next thing, we won't take a look at these. There's a set of summarizations that come with customer success management and the technology suite as a whole. In customer success, we have 5 of them. There's the onboarding case, the engagement, 6, sorry. The onboarding case, the engagement, the touch point, and then 3 record types here in the internal play, customer play, and initiative as well. Each of them are going to take into account in the overview section the contents of the record itself. And then it's going to go through in the progress update, consume things like emails and things like that, the work notes, summarize those. And then it's even going to go into the next steps and it's going to summarize any related records. So if there happens to be, in this particular example, it's an internal play. If there's an internal play task or an initiative or something that's related to this record, it'll summarize that as well. Of course, with all of our Now Assists, you can make copies of the skill out of box, and you can add your own inputs and records and really tailor this summarization to meet the needs of your business. Product adoption is probably one of the things I'm most excited about. It's one of the things we've been asked about for a very long time. And we slide with that visualization with all the crazy lines on it. So I'm going to jump into the instance. I've only got a couple of minutes left here. So I want to take you in and kind of walk through what this looks like. So I'm logged in here in my instance as a customer success manager. So everything I see here is exactly what you would see as a CSM. This is the record for an engagement. And you can see we've got kinds of data here. Because remember, engagement is a container for sorts of activities and records and tasks, everything that goes along with delivering to that customer. I'm not sure why it paused my share. Sorry. Can you all see my instance, Phil? Can you see that?
No, I'm still looking at the product adoption data slide.
All right, let me get a different chair. My apologies. There we go. So again, as I mentioned, this is the engagement page. You can see things like touch points here, the risk records we spoke about a moment ago. These are the customer team members. So all of these things live here on the engagement. For the sake of time, we'll jump right into product adoption. The beauty of product adoption is you relate the products that you've sold into the account. All of them show up here. All of them have their very own adoption score. Again, calculated by metrics that you define in configuration. You'll get a trend of the adoption score, and this is based on the percentage of adoption score here, which again is a calculated metric. Each product can have one or many metrics associated with it. All of these visualizations are derived from the data context engine, which what drives the product adoption, the health framework, the risk framework. Each product can have one or many child products. Each can have capabilities, many capabilities. And all along the way, we have configurable metrics to help you understand how customers are using. So we can identify it on the back end of that risk. Now we get the solution that comes from that. Let's adoption is low, so let's trigger a motion to do maybe some training, maybe some outreach, or adoption is excessive, so let's trigger a sales opportunity to shore up that licensing before we get to renewal and surprise our customer with a hefty fine or something. So the product adoption, again, extremely configurable. All of the values that you see here on all of the visualizations are all configurable, all the way down to the capability of each of these products. It's very scalable. It's pretty amazing. And then, of course, it's the input to both proactive service in risks and expansion through identified sales opportunities. And then, of course, the renewal agent takes all of this into account when it makes a recommendation as to whether or not you're likely to renew a particular contract. Okay, Phil, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. That's good stuff. Remember, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A tool. Yes, Greg, this is being recorded. For anybody that joined late, we are recording, and you will get, I think she said 7 to 10 days after the webinar, you'll get the recording as well as the slides and links to other resources like these videos. Thanks for the question. All right, let me see if I can figure out how to share here. I'm gonna replace your share and share with sound. All right, Mike, are you seeing my screen?
I see Service Bridge slide.
All right, wonderful. So let's jump into Service Bridge here. Today, service providers and their customers share CI data, foundation data through spreadsheets or through expensive integrations that they put in place. And one of the frequent questions we get from our customers is, why can't we use our Service Bridge connection that we already have established to share that data? And that is what Foundation Data Sync brings. The new Foundation Data Sync feature of Service Bridge allows providers to select CI data and other foundation data like asset, user, group, location, company, department, and that list will grow as we go forward. That's the starting list. They select that data that they want to share with selected customers, and then those customers can see those that data offerings, and you'll see what I mean by data offerings in a few minutes, and can subscribe to those and have that data regularly synchronized into their instance. Note that in this first release, the sync is from the provider to the consumer only. In the Australia release, which is coming in February, we will add the ability to sync from the consumer to the provider. So it'll be bi-directional at that point. Now, once the data has been synced from the provider, the consumer will use existing platform capabilities to import that data into their instance. So for CMDB data, for that transfer, once Service Bridge has sent the data over, then the consumer would use integration of ETL to process and integrate the sync data into the CMDB. For other non-CMDB data, we're using import sets, and they will have the transform mapping and capability on their side as well. So the expected outcomes for this Foundation Data Sync capability, I think it's to give better service visibility and transparency from the provider to the customer. I think it's going to provide improved service. Our foundation data can now be referenced by the consumer in their workflows, and it's more complete. And overall, I think it reduces the cost of service. Providers and consumers no longer have to do that manual data transfer and deal with the resulting data errors that are inherent in that kind of manual transfer. One of the other new features we want to call out is Service Bridge Health. So I think we recognize there's a lot in Service Bridge. There's a lot that can be done. It's a framework that our customers use to support their business processes. And those business processes can vary widely. So customers are continually pushing the boundaries and finding Service Bridge limits. So we're regularly identifying issues, we're fixing problems, we're providing workarounds, we're providing knowledge articles. And then when you add the variation of what is fixed in what release, it can be challenging for a Service Bridge customer to scan release notes and documentation and knowledge articles and to know what they need to consider and they need to watch for. And we get this feedback from our customers. So in the Zurich release, we've included a new Service Bridge Health feature that initially is going to include over 40 scans that can be run to identify known issues with Service Bridge and any known error or any errors in the environment. And the distinction there is errors that it finds are things that are causing an issue in your Service Bridge connection, whereas known issues may not have resulted in an issue yet, may not have resulted in an error. The scans that we include can be run on demand, or they can be scheduled to run regularly, and they will alert the administrators when an error or a known issue have been identified. The communication will include a detailed description of the error as well as suggested solutions for resolutions. And then this dashboard that you see the screenshot of here, it will show existing scan findings, errors, and active scans. We also include in this groupings of scans, which I think is really cool. You'll be able to like before you initiate an onboarding or registration of a new Service Bridge consumer, there's a scan set that is a pre-onboarding scan set that you can run to make sure that all things are good in your Service Bridge implementation before you connect. And then there's a post-onboarding scan that you can run after you bring a new customer on. And these scans and the health scans run both on the provider and the consumer instance. So you have that confidence on both sides that things are running correctly. These are delivered in a separate application called Service Bridge Health. And we did that so that our development team, as they find new things or things they need to point out, they can continually add to the scan set and release those like on a monthly basis. So you can continually update the application and get new scans, get updated scans along the way. All right, I'm going to stop my share at this point and share an instance. I want to show you guys what Foundation Data Sync looks like. If I can find the correct screen. All right, so I've got two instances up. I've just put logos up so you're clear on which one's the provider and which one is the consumer. The provider here is actually Solana and the consumer is Boxio. And they are both running Service Bridge. The provider's running Service Bridge provider and the consumer's running Service Bridge consumer. And it is an active connection. So the Foundation Data Sync process actually starts in the FDS offering definitions module, which has been added. Scenario here might be, and in this scenario, the provider is providing application support services for the consumer. The consumer has their own ServiceNow instance. They've got their own source of truth. They want to have the CIs related to that application service that the provider is providing for them in their CMDB. So they've asked the provider to give them a sync of the Apache web server CIs in their instance. So the provider has created this Apache web servers offering, and I'll open up the offering so you can see what it looks like. In the offering, you can have one or more offering items. In this case, we have two. We have one that is the CIs for the Apache web server, and we have the Linux server CIs. Now, the reason we have two is when you put an offering item in, it asks you if there are any related CIs that you want to include. So in this case, when I put the Apache web server item in, I've completed that. It said, are there any related CIs to include? And I included the Linux server CIs that run the web server CIs. So I think you can actually go 4 levels deep in terms of relations. So if you have multiple CIs that are related to each other and you want to include all those in a single offering, you can do that. When you create an offering item, I think it's one thing I'll point out is you're not synchronizing the entire table. You're selecting fields that you will synchronize. So when you're creating an offering item, you include the table name and you include the fields that you want to include in that offering. There's an account secure checkbox. When that is checked, that just ensures that the consumer is only able to receive the records that have their account name or their company name on the record to make sure that you're not that the sync is secure. So once you've created the offering, you've included the offering items, just like with all the other Service Bridge entitlements like remote task definitions, remote catalog items, you need to include a consumer criteria that specifies what customers are going to be able to see these offering items. So you can specify a criteria that is for a single account. So if you only want one account to see it, you can specify that. In this case, I've specified a criteria here that all accounts that I serve will be able to see these offering items. If you haven't played around with consumer criteria before, it's very flexible. You can key off a table. For instance, you could key off the sold products table and you could say, if this account has bought a product from me, I want them to see it. Or if this account has bought this specific product from me, they can see it. So in this way, you can create one offering item that is exposed to multiple accounts based on the condition that you have. Once that's all done, you publish the offering item. And then on the consumer side, they have a request Foundation Data Sync offerings module that they open up, and they will see a pull down for all their providers. In this case, they've only got one provider, which is Solana. And when they select provider, they will see all of the offerings that that provider has advertised. They can see what tables are included for the offering item, what offering items are included in the offering definition. And they can select it. They select the interval, which they want to sync. They want to sync daily, weekly, monthly, and at what time. And once they do that, I'm not going to take you through the rest because it can be very lengthy and we don't really have time to go through all of it. But what happens once they make that request, a sample set of data, 5 records, will be sent back from the provider. And then they will go through, if it's CI data, it will take them through ETL and help them, and you will step through mapping classes, making sure all the fields are there, and it will use the IRE rules that the consumer has set up to make sure that their CMDB remains clean, and all the IRE rules that they've set up are followed in importing this data. So I think one thing that's important to note that I've had some customers ask, the data is not being written directly into the customer tables. The customer has the opportunity to review that sample data, set up any rules they need in IRE, to set up any transforms that they need to set up to transform the data as it's written into their tables. Once they've done that, they're happy with the mappings, they're happy with the sample data, they accept, and a subscription is set up. And once that subscription is set up, then the data will synchronize on the interval that they specified. And the mappings that they all set up initially with the sample data, those mappings and those rules will be used for the sync going forward. So that is foundation data sync. Let me go back and share the slides again. And with a little bit of time we have left, I want to take a look at the test diagnostic framework that we added for proactive service experience workflows in Zurich. Some of you may have seen this in, sorry, let me get my screen back up here. Oops, sorry. All right. Some of you may have seen this in the tech product support case feature that we have. We added the diagnostic framework to that in Yokohama, and the capability has continued to evolve, and it now has AI features built into the capability. The use case that we see is when support engineers are troubleshooting technical products and services, and they have a disruption in their workflow because they often have to leave their ServiceNow workspace to run diagnostic tests in external tools and then manually copy all the results back. Or worst case, they have to escalate the incident to a more skilled, expensive resource to do that testing and then send the results back. And this test diagnostic framework, it really transforms this process by integrating testing capabilities directly into the service operations workspace. So it reduces operational costs, it reduces resolution time. Our AI agent will guide a support engineer through standardized steps that help them quickly find root causes, and it provides tailored follow-up tasks and reusable workflows for common problems. So in Zurich, we extended this test diagnostic framework capability into our proactive service experience workflows product for incident and change. So with PCW now, when you're viewing an incident or a change in the service operations workspace, you will now have the option to diagnose the issue and will be presented with options to run tests that will assist in identifying root causes and in suggesting next steps. So we think this feature really saves a lot of time and effort for the engineer, makes them more efficient, reduces delivery costs. It's going to lead to improved resolution times and a better overall customer experience. So I have a short video I will play here so you can see what it looks like. And I think I shared sound.
The test diagnostic framework was added to the technology product support case application in the Yokohama release. In the Q3 Zurich store release, it's being enhanced and added to our proactive service experience workflows product for both incident and change. We'll start by looking at test definitions in the service test definition module. With a test definition, you can define tests for particular service type, product model, or inventory to troubleshoot or gather data related to an incident or change. Test definitions include characteristics, relationships, test measure definitions, threshold rules. The Service Test Management Open API is used to run external tests and to gather the results. Service Test Groups is a new feature in the Zurich release that allows groupings of multiple test definitions that are mapped to a product model or a specification. When I open this test group, you can see that we've given a name and a description for the group and then the related test definitions that are part of the group test. This one just has one. The test group is mapped to specific product models. So when there's a CI specified in our incident or change, a test group will be mapped based on the product model associated with the CI. Now we'll move over to the service operations workspace and look at this at work in an incident. Over on the contextual side panel, you'll find a new icon called Run Diagnostics. When you select it, you'll see the test groups that are associated with the CI and the product model that are impacted by the incident. The test group can be extended so that you can choose individual tests to run. They can be run together or separately. When you select a test, you're prompted to provide the test characteristics that are specified in the test definition. You have the option to run the test now or run it at a later date. We'll run test and refresh to see the results that have been received. So when a test has failed, you can choose to generate automated task, and it will create a repair task that is associated with the test failure. A task can also be created manually. The test capabilities are also available from a change based on the CIs that are included in the change scope and impact. The addition of the test diagnostic framework to our TPSM proactive service experience workflows feature further enhances and differentiates the TPSM product. It will enable technology providers to reduce service costs by empowering lower level resources to diagnose and resolve issues, and it will improve customer service with reduced resolution times.
One of the things you should all consider, if you're not using our ServiceNow Impact service, you should consider that for the success of your account. One of the interesting things is that the Impact team is now using the customer success management product that Mike presented today. So we're drinking our own champagne, if you will. And I think we're up. Mike, what was the latest number that we saw in terms of customer usage for Impact? I think it was like 194 or something like that, customers that they're using customer success for.
That's right, in that neighborhood. Last time I looked, I think it was just a little bit north of that. So I haven't looked in the last week, but yeah, in that general area.
All right. All right. With that, thank you all for joining. We appreciate the time. Hopefully you got something out of this that benefited you today. We will, as I said, the recording and the presentation and links to videos will be sent out within a week or so. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to Mike or myself, and we will do our best to answer them.